A percent. That's a ratio that can't get no love. Wait, nope, that's a scrub. Yep, that's a scrub. No, so a percent is a ratio. A percent is a ratio. A percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. That's really all it is. So for example, 45%, all that means is 45 over 100. And as a decimal, it would be 0.45. So these right here, they're kind of a cycle. We go in a cycle. We can go any direction actually, so my arrows can indicate that we can go back and forth. Here's my trick. Here's my trick for finding percents to decimals. Percents to decimals and decimals to percents are the easiest thing. So D to P and P to D, I'm not going to write the whole word out. From a decimal to a percentage, if we have this, 0.3, what we do is we move over our decimal 2 places. 1, 2, and then it's 30%. That's it. If we wanted to go from percent to decimals, if we had 85%, what we do is we move our decimal from here over, we move our decimal 1, 2. The way I like to think about it is this percentage sign. How many circles do we see in the percentage sign? We see 2 circles in the percentage sign. That's how I know to move it over 2 places. So I'm going to call on someone. This is not in our book. This is more advanced. What about this? 87.5%. 87.5%. I want that as a decimal. Who, with confidence, can raise their hand and tell me what it is as a decimal? Jenna, what's the answer? That's a good guess. It actually, yes, it is. It is 0.875% because we move our decimal over 1, 2. Great job. Great job. What about this one? What about 8.3%? What about 8.3%? What do we do here? What is that, Miles?
It would be 0.083.
Yes, 0.083. To go from percent to decimals, I like to think of this, and I move it over 1, 2. That's how we do it. Same thing with decimals to percents. We just move it over the opposite way. And to remember, we move it to the right for this because we got to put our signs there. We move it to the right there because we got to put our little percent sign there. So we move it to the left for decimals and we move it to the right for percents. Again, if we have a percentage, once we get to a percentage, for example, 37%, that means 37 over 100. A percent is always something over 100. So what about this one? 110%. Is that going to be over 100 or is that going to be over something else?
Still going to be over.
What do we think? Raise our hands. Is that going to be over 100 or is it going to be over something else? Trey. So it's always going to be over 100. Any percent, no matter what the percent, is always over 100. Always over 100. So that's important to know. So if we look at guided practice on page 104, the first problem says write each percent as a fraction in simplest form. So 15%. What's the initial fraction for 15%, Miles?
15 over 100.
15 over 100. Then we got to simplify. We know the factors of 15. We know they're 1 and 15, 3 and 5. The only thing 100 is divisible by is 5. So we get at the top 3/20ths. I'm not going over how do we simplifying and stuff with you. That's just what we do. We do that. Now, what if I had to write it? What if I had to write something as a percent? I've got 3/10. 3/10. There's 2 ways that I can do this. There's 2 ways I can write something as a percent. One way, and this might be the easier way for this lesson, is to do what, Trey? Ray is right. We get our bottom to be 100. So we get our bottom to be 100. That's times 10, so our top is 30. That means that it is 30%. Or we make it into a decimal. We do our dividing, we do that, or we just know. We get 0.3. We move our decimal place over twice, 1, 2, and we get 30%. So regardless, there's many ways that we can go about making things into other things. It's just kind of like how math works in general. So I want you guys to start the homework. The homework is page 105, 106. 105, 106. Excellent. Great lesson.